Okay, this is what we're after. You can see here I've got 3 capacitors connected, one between the 2 terminals, here and here, and on each terminal I've then got one that goes from the terminal, sorry to spin it around, from the terminal, and then it gets soldered down onto the body of it itself. So you've got 3 terminals between the 3 capacitors between the 2 terminals, and then from each terminal to the body of the motor. I'll show you quickly how to do this. The first thing you want to do is cut 2 lengths of wire, I'd say about 25 centimeters long, and then tin up each end. By tin up I mean you spin it and then apply a small amount of solder to each end of the wire. This means that you can bend that into shape, because what we're going to eventually want to do is we're going to want to get the end of that wire and we're going to want to bend it into a hook. It just makes things a lot easier to deal with if we can hook them, because then we can just hook onto the terminal, so a bit of a hook like so. So then we can hook onto the terminal and it'll stay in place, and it makes it a lot easier, especially if you've got slightly shaky hands like myself. So I'm going to grab the motor, and I'm going to grab my capacitors. I'll grab my first one here, and I'm going to hook the ends of the capacitor. I'm just using a needle nose pliers here, or long nose pliers. Yep, actually to start with we only want to hook one. Okay, so I'll hook that through the terminal and push it through the other one, and then hook that over. And why do we do that? As I said, it just means that that's now going to stay in place. It won't fall off. I haven't added any solder yet, which I will add, but it just makes things a lot easier to manage. I'm then going to grab another capacitor and hook one of the feet of this. Yep, and I will just hook that into there, and that's 2 of them done. Alright, it's just hanging there, but that's fine for now. And now I'm going to take the wire that I hooked earlier, and I'm going to hook that through the same terminal. Okay, if I can tilt this so you can see. Cool. And finally I'm going to add a little piece of solder. As it says on the wall over there, you don't need much solder, a little is fine. And I'm just going to add a little bit of solder to that connection. Your hands will be a lot less shaky than mine, hopefully. And that's it. That's now a fairly strong connection. What you don't want is this connection coming loose once you've screwed the cart together. It's a pain to get out. Alright, the last thing we need to do is solder this leg here onto the motor. Now, the motor itself you can't solder to very easily, so all we're going to do is we're going to grab a knife and we're going to scratch up the side of it. You need to do it slightly high up on the motor, because when we put it into the motor, remember that we don't want to solder so far down that we can't fit inside. I almost screwed it up on this one, but luckily it did manage to fit. So then all we've got to do is put the foot in the right position, grab the soldering iron and solder it in place. Yet again, you don't need a huge amount of solder. Okay, give it a little bit of a pull to make sure it's tight. Seems to be good. This one seems to be good. One point to note, make sure that when you're soldering this front capacitor on, that it's got you don't do it tight to the body, because remember when we put it back into the chassis, that capacitor has got a bridge over the top of this thing, like we are on this side here. Yeah, so you want to make sure that it can, when we slide it into place, it can go over the top of that. Alright, and then just do the same thing on the other side and you're done.